time is 19 minutes to 9 now as world leaders in Copenhagen debate global warming and what to do about it. The rest of us are left wondering if we can do anything to make a difference. But a whole community in Perthshire is trying to go green by switching from oil to heat their homes to burning local wood. They're even thinking of using horses to harvest the timber, not diesel-powered tractors. Well, Hugh Williams is live in Glenlyon Forest this morning and joins us now. What's the weather like there this morning, Hugh?
Cold, but absolutely beautiful. Yes, good morning. Welcome to what is arguably one of the most beautiful parts of Highland Perthshire in the shadow of Benmagany. And I'm joined by Tom Beales from the Glenlyon Wood Fuel Initiative. First, Tom, we're surrounded obviously by trees. Is that where the idea came from?
Absolutely. Seeing the trees, and also that we've got all these old coppice plantations that could be restored. We're surrounded by uneconomic commercial forestry that's never going to leave the glen. It's just not worth taking it to a mill. I see that we could add a lot of value to it by using it as a heat source, and also that we could remove oil from an oil dependency from our lives. Oil's extremely unsustainable. Wood's the opposite. We're surrounded by it. We should be burning it.
Coppicing basically is a way of getting trees to grow so that you can harvest them and they grow again.
Yes, the root stays in the ground, you cut what you need, your poles, and over a few years they grow back and you can repeat this cycle for quite a long time, after which you can just replace the trees again. It's a very old, very, very sustainable form of forestry, but for some reason we don't practice anymore.
And you talk about this as uneconomic forestry. Is that simply because of the distance from sawmills or paper producers, so it isn't worth anyone's while carting the timber away?
No, the restrictions on the road, the length, the distance from sawmills, everything else, you'd be very hard pressed to make a profit from felling timber here.
Well, we're joined also this morning by James Perry, who runs a B&B in the Glen, and Jamie Grant, who moved here about 10 years ago to bring up a family. Jamie, first of all, yourself, we talked about fuel bills. They can be prohibitive, particularly if you're relying on fuel oil.
Well, yeah, I mean, the last few years we've been absolutely crippled by fuel costs. We've been paying something like £2,500–3,000 a year, and it really got to the stage with a hike in fuel prices last year where it's on a knife edge whether we could stay here or move somewhere else. And we've moved to a smaller place, but it's cold, and we'd like to put in a central heating system. We're loath to use oil, so really hoping this project means we could use modern log-fired boilers that would be cheaper and more sustainable.
So just to be clear about that, you're saying you literally felt you were forced to move house because of the bills you were paying in fuel oil?
It was over a quarter of my salary. It was just impossible, and I've got a family to support.
So, and James Perry, running a B&B, you've been in the Glen for 5 or 6 years?
Yeah, 7, yeah.
How does the economics of fuel oil work out with running a business then?
Well, as I understand it, fuel is very expensive. We have an entire wood burning system in our house, and we've saved already this year £200 on the electricity, which we had before.
So you're already doing the kind of thing that maybe other households in the Glen could be doing?
Yeah, definitely. And if we had it on our doorstep, obviously it would be far easier for us. One, from an economical point of view for us, and two, obviously from an eco-friendly point of view. You know, you don't have to cart it back and forth miles and miles. So it's here on our doorstep, and we provide employment for people around here to produce, our local wood and stuff for us, yeah.
Jamie, you're nodding agreement with that?
Well, I mean, when my son gets up to sort of teenage years, it'd be lovely to have some work here to get him started in life. And there isn't a lot of work in these remote rural areas, so I'd be, really keen to encourage the project.
And coming back to Tom Beales, and part of the thinking is that as well as being good for the environment, maybe reviving these traditional coppicing practices, there may be some employment in this.
Oh yes, I'd hope to have at least 3 days a week for probably 3 people, and also because we're looking at all the low carbon options, we'd also be looking at possibly horse extraction, which would be a full-time job for somebody working with a horse. Very traditional, very low carbon.
Just a final question though, we talk about burning oil and burning coal as being polluting things to do. So how can burning wood be clean and green?
Well, coal and oil are both carbon that's stored away. It's locked away under the earth, and when we burn it, we're releasing that carbon. Wood is still growing. That carbon has not been locked away, so it's still in the cycle. So we're not, as it were, adding to the carbon load on the planet by releasing locked away carbon. This carbon's in the cycle. And as we'll be constantly replanting trees, and trees absorb carbon dioxide, release oxygen, it's a winner for everyone, really.
I guess what you're saying as well is that coppiced wood is the ultimate kind of renewable fuel, isn't it? It just grows again.
If we didn't have all these economically worthless plantations or low-value plantations, coppice would be without doubt the solution, yes.
Tom Beals, James Perry and Jamie Grant, thank you very much indeed for joining us on the programme this morning. Now from Glenlyons back to the studios in Glasgow.
It sounds as though you need to go in and burn a log or two to warm up. Thanks very much for that. Hugh Williams there in Perthshire. It's 14 minutes to 9.
Let's